I'm Morella Fernandez. Thanks for joining us today on Market Call. Ryan Bushell is on the show today. He's CEO and portfolio manager at Newhaven Asset Management. Today, he's taking your questions on Canadian dividend stocks. Here's how to reach us. 1-855-326-6266. If you are calling toll free, you can call us. And if you want to email, marketcall@bnnbloomberg.ca. Ryan, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So we should mention that the Prime Minister has just arrived at Washington at the White House. He's meeting with the U.S. President, who we're not sure what's going to come out of this meeting, but we are waiting. We might get interrupted during the show with some results of that meeting, or at least a press conference from them both. But let's talk about what, if anything, you expect from this meeting today.
I think your expectations should be pretty low, but it is interesting to note the change in tone from President Trump following the election in Canada. The 51st state rhetoric has died down a bit, and so I think what I would be looking for anyways would just to see kind of what the tone of the two leaders is, and if it's a little more cordial than it has been.
We had Donald Trump put out a media post saying we don't need Canada for anything. You know, we don't rely on them. They borrow from us. We protect them. So that same tone he had taken from the beginning, which is, you know, we don't want what you have. Given that, is that just a tactic, you think? You're still sort of lowering your expectations for what to expect?
Yes, so that's exactly what I want to see is does that kind of get softened a fair bit? He's been much more respectful in addressing Prime Minister Carney since the election. Some would argue that he was trying to ensure that outcome for reasons that remain unclear at this point. And so, again, you know, it'll be trying to get any sort of clue as to, you know, are we going forward with USMCA? Are we going forward with tariffs on everything, or somewhere in between? But again, I think that this is very preliminary at this point. You
see the U.S. as sort of losing its dominance in the longer run here. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so one of the major themes we're watching, and it ties into kind of the market performance this year, is just U.S.-denominated assets, other countries diversifying away. And so the U.S. has had decades of trade deficits that have built up. Those trade deficits have put dollars in the hands of foreign entities. Foreign entities have bought U.S. assets hand over fist for years and years and years, culminating in, the greatest run in the S&P we've seen in modern history, from 2010 to present. And so, we see that starting to unwind and fraying at the edges to the point where, a market like Canada, with not a great economy this year, under threat of tariffs, poor energy prices, a housing market that is teetering, for our major sectors, energy and financials, that shouldn't be good for our market. Now, gold has overwhelmed that, and TSX performance is positive year to date. And it does just show that even Canadian dollars or Canadian assets are in demand more so than the S&P 500 this year, which is down about 5%, as different economies and different as capital starts to rebalance, and that's one of the big themes we're watching. So
what sectors, based on that, are you advising people to move towards at what will be a rocky time for at least the next 4 years?
Yeah, it could be pretty tough if the wrong things happen. The tariff stance that the U.S. is taking is, by our estimation, stagflationary, and that's a pretty tough time to make money in financial markets. So we're always conservative. We still really like infrastructure, utilities, energy infrastructure. Canada has a tremendous export opportunity in front of it. Now, with new leadership, we think that is going to be harnessed, at least to some extent. LNG should be the primary focus of that, and we do have the first phase of LNG Canada coming on, hopefully later this year, followed by some smaller projects, and then hopefully a final investment decision on phase 2. We like that space. We like the natural gas export space, the natural gas processing space, and, like I said, energy infrastructure and utilities continent-wide in North America.
Okay, so we do have to take a break based on what you've said. I'm sure viewers have a lot of questions, so we'll line them up for you. Ryan sticking around, CEO, portfolio manager at Newhaven Asset Management. We're back in a moment with your phone calls and your emails. Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us on Market Call. Let's go right to an email from Glenn. He says, would you recommend Sun Life at this time? What are your thoughts on Sun Life?
Yeah, so I was actually looking at the Sun Life chart this morning. We don't own it in size, but we do have clients that have transferred it in and hold it with large unrealized gains. I looked at it and I thought, now is not a bad time to be taking some off the table. Generally, financials have done well. We think they've done a little bit better than maybe the fundamentals look for the next few years. And so, again, it depends on, this is the hard thing for clients that have no position. I'd be waiting for a better entry point based on potentially some correlated market weakness like we saw in early April. I think we're going to have bouts of that going forward, just given the instability at play. And if you own quite a bit of it, we think there are better opportunities elsewhere. So yeah, I wouldn't be recommending it as a buy. If you do own a large position, maybe trim some off the top. Still a great company long term, good dividend track record, no problem with it fundamentally. But that would be kind of my approach in terms of buying or selling at this moment.
Got it. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. And Rob's on the line from Calgary today. Hi, Rob.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. I'd like to get Ryan's opinion on Algonquin Power. I've held it for a while now, and I've wrote it down as the price has fallen. And although it has a decent dividend, has it bottomed? And is it positioned for a re-rating? Or are there would you prefer others in this space?
Okay.
So I'm looking for a total return of growth and dividend yield. Thanks again, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks for calling, Rob. I got to put the answer on hold for a minute. We've got to go back to Washington, Donald Trump, and Mark Carney at the White House here.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. We handle it with great love, and 24-karat gold. That always helps too, right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years, in some cases over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually,
I
for the
know.
big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada. With a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Mr. President,
Anybody?
is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit, and as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States. Would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes,
Friendship.
but that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of respect. He is a big, tough cookie, too. He just broke the record. And he's a great guy. And, we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
That's true. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
What would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Like, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR has been reopened now. ANWR is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually. And you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens. China.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning in Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there have been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something different.
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
But you haven't met with them yet.
I have not met with them, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you they want to meet. But, we are right now, look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. And they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't make the money off other countries like this. And we had a trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus. another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because of they have now 145% tariff, there's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are therefore making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly turning around. We looked at numbers this morning. So we were losing, the United States during Biden was losing more than, I won't even give you numbers because they're so embarrassing, but billions of dollars a day on trade. Those numbers are rapidly turning between the tariffs. Don't forget, we're now getting 25% on cars, 25% on aluminum, 25% on steel, and maybe more importantly, massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have tremendous, the car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be at $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term. Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden, and he didn't know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants, okay, from prisons, from mental institutions, from all sorts of places that weren't good, from gangs, from Venezuela. They were coming in and they were criminals and murderers, 11,888 people that murdered, and at least half of them murdered more than one person. This is what Biden led into our country. I'm bringing in big companies. We have Apple is investing $500 billion. We have Jensen, as you know, is going to be 500 biggest chip maker, or chip thinker, I call him. He's really a thinker more than a maker. But we also have the maker, Mr. Wei. I get to know them all in the last, it was a cram course. But they're all moving into America because of the tariffs. And I don't think people have appreciated it. Some people do. Some of the smart people do. So we have more money coming in. It's really an amazing thing. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time ever before in our history, and it's not even close. And I think the real number could be 9 or 10 trillion. We don't know everybody that's doing it. We have many. I just heard about a plant that's being built right now, a very, very top-of-the-line company, and they didn't come to the White House. They're just doing it because they're making it because if they build here, there are no tariffs. And this is the big market. This is the market. That sets us apart from it. This is the market where everyone wants to be. Now, if I didn't come here and do this, all of a sudden we wouldn't be the market where everyone wants to be. So we're able to do it in time. But we're going to have a great announcement. And I'm not necessarily saying it's on trade. Going to the beginning, we're going to have a great announcement over the next few days, an announcement that will be so incredible, so positive. And I'm not saying, I don't want you to think it's necessarily on trade. Just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president, who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts. But JD will be there, and Marco, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what this country, what we want, and congratulations, we have a deal. And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, you know, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But we'll sit down, and we'll, at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important than what I'm talking about. For the most part, we're just going to put down a number and say, this is what you're going to pay to shop. And it's going to be a very fair number. It'll be a low number. We're not looking to hurt countries. We want to help countries. We want to be friendly with countries. But you keep writing about deals, deals. When are we going to sign? When? It's very simple. We're going to say, in some cases, we want you to open up your country. In some cases, we want you to drop your tariffs. I mean, India, as an example, has one of the highest tariffs in the world. We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So we're going to put down some numbers, and we're going to say our country is open for business. And they're going to come in, and they're going to pay for the privilege of being able to shop in the United States of America. It's very simple. It's very simple. So I wish they'd keep, stop asking, how many deals are you signing this week? Because one day we'll come and we'll give you 100 deals. And they don't have to sign. All they have to do is say, oh, we'll start sending our ships right now to pick up whatever we want or to bring whatever we want. It's very, very simple. And I think my people haven't made it clear. We will sign some deals. But much bigger than that is we're going to put down the price that people are going to have to pay to shop in the United States. Think of us as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price, and we're going to give you a very good price. We're going to make very good deals. And in some cases, we'll adjust. But that's where it is. And we've been ripped off by everybody for 50 years, and we're just not going to do that anymore. We can't do that. And we can't let any country do that to us. We're just not going to do it anymore.
Can you tell us a bit more about the deal that you've reached with the Houthis?
No, it's not a deal. They've said, please don't bomb us anymore, and we're not going to attack your ships.
And where did you hear about that?
It doesn't matter where I hear it. The very good source, I could tell you. Very, very good source. Would you say, Marco? I would say pretty good, right, JD? A very good source. No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. They don't want to be bombed anymore. You know, I sort of thought that would happen. No, behind you, please.
Clarifying something you said on USMCA. Is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person. And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know who I'm talking about. But so, you know, we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President.
I'll say a word on USMCA, if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American vitriol. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%, and usually those things don't last very long. You know, we have great things, great product, the kind of product we sell nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate, but we make the best military equipment in the world by far, the missiles, the submarines, everything. Everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened. But that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. and Raising Cane. He was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him, but I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, a lot of things. And but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, your investments, Mr. President. When do you think the investments that you've announced, the trillions, will finally hit economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
It's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing. You have to get your zoning. You know, 5 years later, you start building. You get a bank, then the bank's no good. These people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden, billions. We give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. The job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that never did it before. And he's got a disaster in his hands, like millions of dollars, many millions of dollars over budget. And I would love to help him with it, or somebody else. I could recommend professionals, but it was not built in a professional manner. By the way, nor was in California a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost. And they have cars. They have a thing called a highway that goes back and forth that's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, you know, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. You know, I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen, what's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control. This is something that you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. You know, I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running because that one project alone, well, that and the fires and a lot of other things, pretty much put him out of the race.
What changes would you like to make?
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
What's your first statement? If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved. And this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have been listening to a meeting between Prime Minister Mark Carney and the American President Donald Trump happening in the Oval Office. The first meeting between the two since Carney was elected only last week. A high-stakes one, of course, as they sit down with a number of things on the agenda. First and foremost, on the 51st state. Donald Trump has mentioned that repeatedly. He'd love Canada to become the 51st state. Said today, however, from Trump, it does take two to tango, implying that Canada is not interested, but still referring to the artificial line, he says, that divides the two nations. Trump says it is not something he will be discussing today with Carney, and went on to say how the American military is also protecting Canada. Now, Mr. Carney did answer to this. He said some real estate, some places are never for sale. And having met with the owners of Canada over the last few months, voters, of course, during the election campaign, it's not for sale, and the mind of Canadians won't change on this. He did speak, Mr. Carney, to increasing security, which is something Donald Trump likes to hear, including beefing up security in the Arctic. Trump went on also to discuss energy, saying the U.S. has more than enough, doesn't need Canadian energy. However, the U.S. does rely on energy imports from this country. And Trump went on to talk about not needing Canadian steel. Again, themes we've heard from him many, many times. On trade, he said the world must think of the U.S. like a super luxury store. People have to pay the price when they shop there. And went on to mention Mr. Trudeau, who he did not like, and a personal relationship there as well. He said he didn't like the person who did the last CUSMA deal, which would have been under Chrystia Freeland, and went over to talk about how the fact that the relationship there wasn't a good one, that affected the deal. Note, the Canadian dollar ticked higher as Trump was speaking in the Oval Office today. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to reset, get back to Market Call in just a moment. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us on Market Call. We're going to take a look right now at Ryan's past picks from May 24th of 2024, so almost a year ago. At the time, Ryan, you picked TELUS, which was 22.22 at the time. Now it's down to 20.87, so a 6% drop return, but a 1% upside return. A lot has been going on with the telecommunications companies, not much of it good. You like TELUS at that point. Would you still invest in it today? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no pick we make is for a year. We're long-term investors, and we really actually believe that. So TELUS has a lot of good things coming for it in terms of the decommissioning of their copper infrastructure, some real estate they can sell, and they're past the fiber inflection point on their investment. So we think the cash flow profile for this company looks pretty good for years to come and should support the dividend at the current level and hopefully growth. Great. Okay, let's move on to Brookfield Renewable, which was another of your picks from last year, last May. At the time, it was 39.23. Now it's down to 30.98. A 21% drop return and a 16% total drop return. What's been going on with Brookfield Renewable? Yeah, so just continued negativity in the renewable space. Obviously, the election of Donald Trump didn't help the sentiment. This is also Mark Carney's kind of former baby at Brookfield, so it's interesting to note the juxtaposition there. But there's continuing to sign major renewable power supply agreements with technology companies, and we think that, again, there's still a lot of renewable power that needs to be built and will be built, and Brookfield is one of the best at it. So we collect a 6.75%-ish yield while we wait and continue to average in. Do you think that the projects here will be built because Donald Trump, as you know, has sort of really turned the tide on where energy production is going to and turned away from renewable? And is that enough to shift, the world that way? It's hard to say. I mean, I think that, again,
there's major commitments from these technology companies to supply their increasingly power-hungry operations with clean power. So, and I think that the social license that they require to do that will have them continue to invest in renewables. And it's important to note that not all renewables are created equal. Brookfield has one of the best and a global team to sort out, where the best places to invest in those projects will be, and we kind of trust that will be it's a part of the mix. It's not going to be the panacea, replacement that people thought a few years ago. We never thought that, but we do think it has a place. Okay,
let's get to your last pick from last year, which is Savaria on the TSX. $17.73 at the time, now up to $18, so 2% upside and a 5% total return. What do you like about Savaria?
Yeah, so it was much better. You can see into last October before the tariffs kind of came in, and we don't think that actually Savaria will be subject to much, if any, tariff impact, because they are not only covered under USMCA but also under as medical products, because they're elevators and supports for disabled or aging demographic people, older people. So we like the demographic trend towards people wanting to age at home, especially following the pandemic. Savaria has an operational program underway to streamline their operations and is delivering quite nicely on that and increasing margins. So we like that company quite a bit going forward.
Great. We do have to take a quick break. We're going to be back in a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Market Call. Let's go to John on the line. He's holding in London, Ontario. Hi, John.
Hi, Marilla. Hello, Ryan. Good to see Carney and Trump getting along. Chartwell is getting along as well. Long-time holder, pays a good dividend. Capacity is around 91%. They think they're going to hit 97. I'm going to hold. What do you think? Thanks very much.
Let's have a look at Chartwell.
Yeah, so I had a really good look at this company a few years ago coming out of the pandemic, and I was trying to sort out, it seemed pretty clear that it was going to be a good trade coming out of the pandemic. I was trying to sort out whether it was going to be a good long-term investment, and ultimately decided against it, and that's not, there's plenty of companies we don't own. We can't own everything, and so that doesn't mean it's a bad company. But the reasons I chose against it was, one, yes, they are the best Canadian public operator in the space, but there are lots of sophisticated private operators as well. And so the competition is relatively fierce, combined with the sort of liability and the need to staff these facilities. It's going to get harder, not easier. And the final thing was just sort of the uncertainty on real estate and rates and all of that as well. So we did take a pass on it. It's done well since then, and I think it will continue to do well. However, from here, I'm not sure what drives it too much higher, other than I think it's a steady eddy from here. But yeah, a good company, just one that we passed on.
Okay. Unfortunately, we do have to take another quick break. We're running out of time, of course, because of the Donald Trump press conference. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to Market Call. We do want to get through some top picks here with Brian. Brookfield Infrastructure is his first pick with a good yield.
Yeah, so we mentioned this earlier. We like infrastructure. Brookfield Infrastructure is a unique Canadian infrastructure company in that it has a global footprint. The other thing that's very interesting, I think, that Canadian taxable investors need to take into account is if you have an RSP or a TFSA, you can buy the partnership units, receive the same dividend as on the corporate units, but at about a 25% discount. The partnership units traded, at $42, and the corp units trade at $52. So it's a good value, especially if you can put it in an RSP or a TFSA. And again, we think a good global footprint with a solid dividend and dividend growth going ahead.
Got it. Okay, let's get to ARC Resources then, which is your second pick. And this one you're saying hold on to for a longer time. Yeah, so again, this isn't a short-term call. I actually am pretty negative on oil prices, which we would have got into if the president didn't go so long. But ARC is a more gas and natural gas liquids focused company, and we think the fundamentals for gas look pretty good. We think ARC is the premier natural gas developer in Canada and also owns a lot of their own infrastructure, so they are vertically integrated. Dividend is growing.
cash flow looks good. So we really like this company on a very long-term basis. And if you can get it below $25, I think you'd be pretty happy on a long term.
When do you think they'll start to realize the benefit of sort of the move towards natural gas?
They're realizing it right now. They've already diversified contracts. So if and when Cedar LNG comes on, they have a big piece of the export capacity on that project. That should be sort of in the next couple of years. It's just ongoing. The free cash flow for this company is piling up. They're actually reinvesting a lot of that cash flow. They just did Hitachi, and they're probably going to do a second phase of that. But it's a compounder, just a really well-run company.
Got it. Let's get to NFI, which makes buses.
Yeah, and no dividend on this one, oddly enough. They cut the dividend during the pandemic. We've held this one through some pretty tough period. And just when we think we get to the end of the toughness, something else happens. The most recent thing being a problem with the seat supplier, but that does seem to be resolved. And the backlog is tremendous, and their competition has basically withered away. So, we think that this company, the tariff impacts aside, we think they can do enough to get, manage through that. They start delivering some buses here in Q2, Q3, Q4. We think it's going to look pretty good for the company and the stock over the next 12 months.
Got it. Okay, we do have to leave it there. Sorry about the tight timeline today. Appreciate you coming in and sitting through this with us. Ryan will be back again at some point. Let's have a quick look at the markets as we head to a break, and we'll see you again tomorrow on Market Call.